It's a race against the clock, and it's up to a cranky old George Clooney teamed up with a spunky, optimistic teenager and a robot to save the day in Brad Bird's Tomorrowland. Today's review. Let's talk about this movie a little bit. I watched it on Netflix a couple of days ago, so if you're looking for it, it's probably on Netflix. I've heard many differing opinions about the movie. I know when it was like first about to come out, like in post production, there was a lot of positive things, like I guess from the studio itself, saying, "Oh, this is going to be an amazing thing with amazing action and adventure and special effects and stuff like that." But then when it finally came out, the reviews were sort of lukewarm. There were definitely some very positive ones that kind of stood out a bit. For the most part, the movie just kind of opened and closed and didn't really, make a big splash or anything like that. Didn't, become a huge, phenomenon or anything like that. You always hope these movies, I guess Disney always hopes these movies do, but, meanwhile they throw a rock and they're going to make a big hit. Marvel, Star Wars, all that stuff. So I guess they're, free to take risks in movies such as this. But I finally got a chance to watch it on Netflix, and I really enjoyed it. Though definitely, I would say there are problems to it. Like the plot is kind of muddled a bit, kind of meanders, and it just is maybe a little bit more busy than it needs to be. But it's this girl. She finds this pin for Tomorrowland. She touches it. It brings her to this amazing place, and this is actually a preview invitation set up by this world in sort of this alternate universe. For all these imaginative people, George Clooney was once a part of this world, but he was excommunicated. But now larger factors are at play, and the whole world, the present world, not the Tomorrowland futuristic fun world, is at risk, and it has to do with the transmission that's being sent that feeds in a negativity to people who just cause them to just accept their own fate as humans and accept that everything's wrong and there's no escaping the end of the world. So they have to fight against the doomsday countdown, as there often is in these types of movies, including not just that, but robots that are after them, and a friendly robot, a little girl who's a robot, Athena, who's a character, and they all have to go on this adventure and visit Tomorrowland and try to talk some reason into the people. So that's basically the plot. Maybe it's a little hard to put into words because it is a little bit busy, a little bit too busy. And in a weird way, I mean, it is definitely, it's maybe just a little bit too heavy for kids. Like, there's some kind of deep philosophical stuff going on, about humans accepting this kind of fate and kind of a chicken or egg thing when it comes to negativity or the positivity to make the world, the future, a better place, make tomorrow grand, things like that, make America great again. No, but so there are things like that, especially like near the end when we have Hugh Laurie, who another problem in the movie, he's like kind of just, we kind of sense he's sort of going to be a villain, then boom, he turns off the switch and yes, he's a villain, and he monologues, but his whole speech is a little heavy, and it's pretty, it's pretty heavy. What else can I say? What does gravity have to do with it? Anyway, but in a weird way, I'd almost compare it to, this is like the kids' version of Interstellar, which it has a lot of similarities to it in the sense that, one, it's about these characters who, against a world where everyone has kind of stopped exploration and imagination in both these universes, in both these films. The space program is ending. There's a whole subplot with the girl's father who worked for NASA. So there's these characters who very much defiantly want to head on and keep exploring and things like that. In both movies, there's alternate universes. There's paradoxal, different dimensions, basically, and they all kind of sort of make relations to the present reality, to our present universe, to our present dimension. So that's kind of weird how they both are similar to that. And there's robots in both, I guess. So, I mean, that's a similarity, right? But to Tomorrowland's credit, there's not 12,000 scenes of people crying very emotionally, which we got in Interstellar, which got really annoying. So I guess we have to give a point to Tomorrowland for that. But I'm just saying they're both kind of similar, but for what it is, I think it is an entertaining movie. It does have good special effects, but nothing hugely innovative, like nothing that they're kind of touting themselves up about. But good stuff, good fun, imaginative kind of stuff. It does bring kind of those 1960s World's Fairs to life, and what would the future look like if these crazy inventors really decided to make all their crazy inventions for no real reason other than they can, and let's do it. And that's an encouraging thing. It is an encouraging movie, where we have the optimist type of character, played by Britt Robertson, who's really good in her role. She kind of has like a Jennifer Lawrence kind of vibe to her, so I quite enjoyed her performance. Definitely a huge contrast to the George Clooney performance, who actually, I love George Clooney in this type of role, playing this old cranky bastard, which is great. So he's kind of a character who's been beaten down by the reality of the world and kind of learned to accept that negativity and fate, where we have the younger kid who's trying to bring him into accepting that maybe things can get better, and it's kind of a nice story in that sense. Then we have this robot Athena, who, I forget the actress name. I think I wrote it down. Raffi Cassidy, great in the role. I don't know who this kid is, but like I have a feeling that she's probably been in like some horror movies playing the creepy little girl, because she's just that type of sort of little British girl who's creepy. But then in like the 1960s scenes, they look like they took like a shrink ray and made her a little tiny Audrey Hepburn. So look out for this actress, Raffi Hafferty or whatever. What was it? Raffi Cassidy. Look out for that name. I think we'll see some big things from that kid. Playing the robot, really good. And there are some kind of interesting emotional notes to the relationship between the George Clooney and Athena character, where there's kind of this whole arc about whether he can't make her smile or not, and then it pays off emotionally later. So I thought it was really sweet in that sense, and I really liked the movie, and I liked its kind of positive, let's be imaginative kind of message, where true believers will see the Tomorrowland, which could mean anything for anything. It could mean for people in science, in arts, people who really believe that these things are worth pursuing, and not just accepting that it is what it is. Let's just stop dreaming. So I think that's an important message, especially to teach to younger kids, which are essentially the target audience of this movie. In between, though, we get some very fun action scenes. There's a great scene where the girl is visiting this like nostalgia shop, and it's Keegan Michael Keyes and Catherine Hahn play the owners, and a big fight breaks out, and they're like using all these memorabilia. I think she like grabs an R2D2 and like smashes him with it or something like that. It's very fun. So that was a great action scene. There's a whole section of the film which kind of felt like National Treasury, sort of, where they go to the Eiffel Tower and it's really a rocket ship, and then they go and it's all that stuff. So maybe the only thing is maybe the ending could have had a little bit more action to it. It's this big climactic face off between George Clooney, the robot, and Hugh Laurie, and it's not that off the wall. It's very basic kind of action to it. And on the whole, I think the movie's perhaps a little too long. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes, which, I mean, Disney movies are always long. Like, look at the fucking Pirates of the Caribbean movie. They're like 8 hours long each. So I think they could have made this easily like maybe a 90 or 100-minute movie, and it still would have had the same impact. But at the end of the day, you're kind of just arguing about too much of a good thing. Either there's a long good movie or a short bad movie sometimes. So it's always tricky to see what works in between. But I gotta agree with the positive reviews for this movie. I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I would give Tomorrowland 3.5 stars out of 4. The imagination is high on this one, and I really enjoyed the cranky old George Clooney. I mean, really, if nothing else, this movie promises some good things from George Clooney. Hopefully to see him more as a cranky, grumpy old man. Like, once he hits 70, I'd love to see him, like, do movies where he just doesn't give a shit anymore. He's doing zany comedies where he's playing, like, a dirty grandpa or something like that. De Niro's doing it, so why not Clooney? But that's my review of Tomorrowland, a movie I wish I had seen earlier. This would have been actually pretty cool to see, in IMAX 3D and like D-Box and all that stuff. But as it is, it's on Netflix, so check it out. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Visit Derek237.com, and until next time, I'll see you later.